All right, everybody, welcome back to another 20-minute pop-up with the Closers Club. And today, my good friend Matt Camp with Deal Machine is on, and we are going to talk about some cool stuff, how to build a repeatable lead gen system for your real estate company. So super excited, Matt. Welcome, man. It's good to see you.
Yeah, great to see you too, David. Appreciate you having me on, man.
Yeah, well, cool. Let's get into it. We got 20 minutes. We want to deliver as much content and value as we can, and you guys are literally the masters of lead gen. I started with Driving for Dollars, so I'm a big believer in it, and I know that was the foundation of Deal Machine. So yeah, what are you seeing out in the marketplace today?
Yeah, and I think David will, anything that we share, we're always trying to help you guys be more successful, right? Like, in the end, we're just a tool that you can use to be able to be more effective and efficient. But even if you're not using Deal Machine, like our goal is to help you go out there and just give you that playbook so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. And we've interviewed hundreds of people on our YouTube channel talking about how they're finding deals. We've had almost 15,000 deals done using Deal Machine to this point, so we've got a ton of data we can dig into here. And then I'm even doing it myself. I'm here in St. Louis doing deals as well, so always looking to connect locally as well if there's anybody in the St. Louis market. But I know on our end, really, what I'll tell you is, there's a ton of best practices I can really share on kind of two main phases. There's the data list building side, Driving for Dollars being a part of that, right? Like, how do you leverage data? How do you leverage really list building in a scalable way? So happy to talk through a few strategies there. And then on the other side, there's I'd say marketing channels and using really a variety of tools and strategies to be able to generate that lead. So it's, hey, how do you build a list that is going to be high performing, right? Happy to share best practices. And then what do you do with that list? How do you reach out to them and really get in touch with those owners at scale? So,
yeah. So what I think is amazing is you guys have evolved. Like in the beginning, you were literally just a Driving for Dollars app, but now you've become this full resource for investors to, build that, that front end engine of their business. Because if you don't have leads, you do absolutely not have a business.
Exactly. Yeah, that's been our goal. Is Driving for Dollars was like the initial use case that we became really synonymous with, back 2016, 17, 18, which is crazy to say. It's almost been 10 years now, which is been a fun ride. I've been a part of that for about five of that. And so, we started off there, and then over time have really focused on becoming that go-to, real estate data and lead gen platform, where D4D is a piece of that. But, overall, it's like, how do you go out and find your next deal and your next deal and your next deal, right?
Okay. So, cool. So real briefly, just like all of the things that you guys do other than the Driving for Dollars app, which is absolutely amazing. We just did a huge demo on it on our channel. We took young Jonah out and taught him how to do Driving for Dollars, and it's been working great. But yeah, some of the other things that you do, just to give people some context before we jump into it.
Yeah. So, I mean, on the list building side, think of us, around how do you go out there and find a list that really performs, right? Like, go out there and build a list that no one else has. Go out there and really build that unique niche list that is going to reach out and find those hidden deals. And so we've got, data when it comes to properties themselves. So, over 700 data points you can filter by, within Deal Machine. We've got data on owners. So you have contact demographic profiles here of like, here's who this person is behind the property, right? What are they dealing with, right? So, you can go out and try to, there's a couple of strategies there, Driving for Dollars being one of them, of how do you go out and identify those leads within that data, right? And then on the flip side of that is, once you've built that list, we've got marketing tools to help you reach out to those folks. So, things like a dialer, things like, you get unlimited free skip tracing with Deal Machine. Like,
dude, that's amazing.
yeah. That's the big one that I think shifted our perception from just a Driving for Dollars app to a data company. Like, hey, we can give you phone numbers, emails, contact info at scale for literally every lead you add in Deal Machine.
Mhm.
So we give you that, the dialer, you've got direct mail, email, door knocking. Like, there's a lot of variety of marketing tools on top of the data to help you turn those addresses into appointments and real opportunities and offers and deals, right? So
Nice.
yeah.
Cool. So the thing with, and we talk about this a lot on the back end because we're cleaning up a lot of these problems, but when we're looking at building a list, right? The way that, at least that I would used to think about it, and you tell me how it is from your perspective, is we want to look for people who have some type of distress, or who is our most likely person who's going to want to sell to us, right? So I would imagine there are lots of different ways to pull it, but I always wanted to pull, like, first thing for a wholesaler is absentee owners. That's the first, right? We want what an absentee owner is somebody who the tax bill goes to a different address than the actual property, right? So that most likely a landlord or somebody who's inherited it, or maybe they have two houses. If it could be a vacation house or job transfer, something like that. And then I love vacant houses because that's, as a wholesaler, that's our dream scenario, because we don't have to work around showing the property with tenants or old Mrs. Smith living in the house. So yeah. So what are some of those other filters that we can use with you to, to find people who are most likely to want to sell to us?
Yeah. So how I would frame it for you guys here, really, from a standpoint of, well, one, there's no like secret list. No one else is working. There's no silver bullet or everybody would be doing it, right? Like there's no shortcut there. But what I will tell you is, instead of just like handing you the fish, I'd rather teach you to fish, right? And so, the framework that we've seen work over and over and over again is kind of this 3-phase process. So the first part is go out there and pick an area. I really prefer a zip code because you can be geographically focused, but I'd say pick an area, especially if you can get like a B or C neighborhood, somewhere that's not the top or bottom of the market, but somewhere in the middle. Pick an area, then pick, layer on a property type. So if you're focused on single family, say, this zip code with single family, great. And then also go off market. We have MLS data. You could go on market. If on market is your strategy, we can still be a good tool for you. But, for what we're talking about here, going direct to seller, I'd say, start with an area, single family, off market. So that's that kind of like baseline of filter data that no matter where you're at, always recommend with that foundation. Now from here, I would layer on property data. I would layer on my buy box. I'd layer on, okay, how can I recreate what looks like a good deal for me? And there's a lot of individual niche filters you can use. Things like, hey, if it's an older build, you eliminates the new builds, right? If it hasn't sold in a while, that's great. If it, maybe a certain price point, maybe a certain bed and bath, but think about the property itself and layering on that data. We've got so many different data points there. And then the final phase is, okay, great. You've got your buy box, or you've got your baseline. You've got this property data. Now layer on a seller motivation. So what you're talking about there, David, things like a vacant house, a tax delinquent, an active lien, absentee, foreclosure, probate. You've got a ton of different ways you can slice that. What I'd recommend in Deal Machine is we have a quick filter drop down. So go in and just click on that quick filter, and you've got a bunch of different options there. And so if you've done this correctly, you have your baseline of data, you have some property data, and then you put on a layer of motivation. That's kind of the secret framework, the recipe that I would say is going to lead to you pulling great lists over and over and over again. So I'd highly recommend that. The other really cool thing here is, if you want to go the Driving for Dollars route, we do have things like you can, add bird dogs in Deal Machine. Like you can add people to your team and say, hey, jump on my team in Deal Machine and I'll give you an account and go out there and drive around and look for, for fixer uppers, look for vacant houses, right? You would now have AI Driving for Dollars as an option. So you could go in there and say, hey, I've got this list of, 1,000 properties. Have the AI go look at the satellite and street view images, which, they likely a couple of years old. So you want to make sure you filter out properties that have been recently sold. But if you go in there and you say, you'll see a little AI vision builder in Deal Machine. That is our AI assistant going out there and looking at literally the images of the property and finding distress based on that. So you can have bird dogs, you can have AI do this, you can pull a list. That's kind of the goal there is, go out there, build that list, and then look for distress in that way.
So Matt, in your business where you're doing this, what are, because that was a lot of stuff, and I don't want people to get overwhelmed, because sometimes, when you do, you don't know what to do. But let's say you want to build a list, like what are your top maybe 3 to 5 filters that you want to put in? Because here's what I would do. I would pick a zip code, and we can talk on another live about how to pick a city or market. But let's say we know we want to be in zip code 37412. I want to build out those filters, and then I just want to use that in multiple zip codes. So what would be your favorite filters to use to start to build this, the best list possible?
So I literally, we sent look like 11,000 mailers this year so far for my own business. We just did an analysis on this of like, okay, what performed best, what lists were getting our best response rate, what deal, what did that equate to in deals, all of that. So I can literally share some of those here, but
I'm going to put them up on the screen for everybody. Go ahead.
Yeah. Amazing. What I'll share on my end too, and again, I know I gave a lot of information there to start off with. I wanted to just leave with as much value as possible. I get excited about this, so I wanted to share that with you guys. But what I'll tell you is, first off, start with that baseline. So I mentioned zip code, off market, single family. So start with that baseline, and then property characteristics. Anything about the property of like what makes a good lead for you, throw that in there. And then when it comes to seller motivations, here's the top motivations that really worked well. We had tax delinquent is one, is up there. When we're looking at response rate, like positive response rate leads coming from this. Tax delinquent, driving for dollars, every single quarter, driving for dollars is always at the top of the list in terms of response rate. Active liens is actually really has been really, really solid. When we look at it, this one's a unique combination. Absentee owned with 3 or less properties. So it's absentee. So it's like the mom and pop investor, right? So it's the absentee owned. They don't have a huge portfolio. That's actually gotten a great response. And then anything around a really timely, urgent issue. So like probate, foreclosures, that type of stuff is that final filter I can share. So those intrafamily transfer, I would put that under there too. So like active lien, tax delinquent, driving for dollars, absentee with the 3 or less, and then that timely filter. So
nice. I love it. That's a solid list. So here's what will happen for people who haven't pulled a lot of lists is when you start with the zip code, you may have 40,000 properties. And then as soon as you go off market, that may drop you down to 38,000 properties, right? So every time you apply a filter, that list just starts getting smaller and smaller and smaller and more refined, more concentrated, right? It's like the concentrate that you put in your water, right? Like, it starts getting stronger and stronger, and more likely that these people are going to be someone who will be willing to sell to you. So that's kind of the idea there.
Yeah, our goal is to take the whole map, and out of the in a zip code, the 16,000 properties in that zip code, how do we pick out the 100 that are most likely to sell, that are highest probability, and we can focus our marketing on those. So that's the goal, is to stack those data points on top of each other and really filter that down to, again, here are the leads we should spend our time on. So
because you could sit and just dial all 16,000 people. It's going to take you forever, and you're going to find some deals in there for sure. But we just want the highest probability. Like, we want to get up to the plate and only swing at fastballs that are coming in straight and easy at us.
Yeah, I will say, so on our end, when it talks about scalable strategies, I think the AI driving for dollars, that's our AI vision builder inside Deal Machine.
Dude, that's amazing.
That's been great, because that builds you instantly a niche list that no one else has, right? Like, it's just pulling out the visual distress, and that doesn't always just show up on a list, right? Like, that's something that the AI is picking out one by one. Bird dogs, it's the same idea of having someone drive for dollars for you. We've really gone out there, and I think our unlimited contact data has unlocked kind of the ability for like that scaling team as well, right? So who's coming in and they're spending thousands or tens of thousands or more on phone numbers and emails for people to reach out to, and now we've got that included in Deal Machine. So it's like the ability to come in and use our data at that level, or even export our data at that level. We've seen a ton of people get a lot of value out of that. I know we've built out some larger teams plans to help people do that more efficiently. So I'm always happy to be a resource there. Like, feel free to get in touch with me direct to talk about those. But yeah, that's, in terms of scalability, it's been like, hey, go in, here's how to scale your list building, and then go take advantage of that contact information. So
let's talk a little bit about the bird dogs, because I love the idea of that. Like, and again, you guys deal with so many investors and probably you in your own business. Like, where did you find builders or builders? Where would you find bird dogs? Who should someone approach? Like, who are good people to, to try to do that?
Yeah. So I'd say in general, there's we've seen a lot of creative strategies on how to go out and identify people,
Mhm.
everything from like literally, the Facebook group of part-time work in St. Louis,
Really?
to,
Okay.
even things like that. We've had people post like little job descriptions and that, we've seen people have that success. Our if you're somebody who's at the level of like already doing deals, we actually
Yeah.
have seen even like the Indeed or the job board that's, somebody who's looking for more steady, certain number of hours a week. We've seen that do really well. That's
Yeah.
like our most serious candidates have come from that, where the least
Mhm.
amount of churn out, right? But even just like going out there and finding people who are already out day to day. Maybe they're driving Instacart or Uber or
Yeah.
Lyft, or they're a mailman, mailwoman. Like they're already out in the field,
Yeah.
on the go. Those are folks that it can be just a natural addition to what they're doing, is driving around and being aware and looking for properties that are vacant, right? So,
Yeah.
if you're looking for kind of like the one-off kind of like gig type worker, that's one bucket. Or if you're looking for more serious, like, hey, part-time, 20 hours a week plus person,
Right.
go to like the Indeed or Facebook group route. So those are probably the two most common. But we've even seen people get creative of like, having a flyer on the door for their Amazon driver to pick up. Like,
Yeah.
they drop off
Oh,
a
that's a good
car.
idea.
Hey, thanks for the package. Do you want to drive for me to find properties and make some money on the side? Here you go.
Yeah.
Like, we've seen people do that too. So it's it just depends on kind of what you're looking for there.
Yeah, I love the idea of the flyer on the door. That's a great idea. We had a musician who mainly worked nights and he just wanted to work part time,
There you
and
go.
it took us over a year to have him drive part time every single street in the city, like every single one. And then he started doing like a little bit of North Georgia, and we had him venture out a little bit. But then we had the best list that there was because
Mhm.
that kid literally had sat in front of the house and said, "This house is vacant. This house looks boarded up. This house is really trashy." And we just got so many deals from that. Even if it cost us $10,000 over the course of a year, a couple $100 a week. I mean,
Yeah.
it was so worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing within Deal Machine, so we have like a route tracker as well. So as you drive around, there's a little tail that pops up behind you, right? And so you can look at the map and figure out where have I driven and where should I drive next. And it just really helps you be super efficient in that process. So
yeah, I think people underestimate how important that route tracker is, because as someone I told you, I've done hundreds of hours of driving for dollars, and you forget. You start driving, and you ever look at the map of a city? It looks like spaghetti.
Right.
Very few places are like Phoenix, where it's laid out in a perfect grid.
Yeah.
Most of it, it's all up and down and winding.
Mhm.
And when I started using the track, well, before you guys came out, I was doing driving for dollars. I had like my GPS in one.
Yep.
And then I had to get one of those jogging apps where it told you. Luckily,
Nice.
you guys merged it all together. I literally had two phones going, and I'd still look back and I'd be like, "Oh, I drove right by this whole cul-de-sac with like 30 streets back there." So
yeah,
I think that's so valuable.
You're using your TomTom and MapQuest or something. Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah. Let me tell you what it was like in the old days. It was ugly.
Yeah, I mean, so we basically try to make that way more efficient. And I mean, what my business partner and I do, we literally, I'll drive, he'll get in the shotgun in the car, he'll pull up Deal Machine. There's a tap to add mode in Deal Machine too. So that way it just makes it really easy. You literally tap on the properties and it'll add them for you. So he'll be right there. I'll call out the left side. He'll look on the right, and we'll just go down and be super efficient and knock out. A whole neighborhood's pretty quick. So
that's exactly what we do. And also just some days I can just go out by myself, because I just, you have a day in the office. You're like, you know what? I just want to go out and feel like I'm getting something accomplished. I want to make sure that I'm going out and doing something, moving the company forward, and I can listen to music and just kind of turn everything else off. So Drive for Dollars is just a great lead source. But I love all the other stuff that you guys are layering on. So super happy to be partnered up with you guys.
Yeah, and we're always getting better. I mean, our whole goal is to really continue to evolve and stay on that cutting edge, right? To give you guys the edge. So that we're always listening to you of what you want next and what data sources, what we can continue to improve. So that's why we've gone from just this D4D app to, hey, we want to be that go-to, best in class for resource to go find deals. So
yeah, well, you guys absolutely are. Without a doubt, one of the leaders in the industry. You have an amazing community. I know that you guys provide just so much support. But yeah, so guys, if you're interested, I just threw up in the chat. You'll be able to see it on whatever platform you're watching this. But on the screen, dealmachine.com/easyrei. And Matt, what's going to happen? I know you guys got some nice free sort of bonus offers for everybody that's listening.
Yeah, we want to hook you guys up. So it's a 7-day free trial just to try it out and see if it's a good fit for you. And then with that, you get a ton of free postcards and calling minutes in there too. So like 500 free call minutes, 50 free postcards. So that way, we've had people literally do deals on the free trial before. So we just want to give you it all for free and say, hey, try this out. And if it's a great fit, amazing. My email is just matt@dealmachine.com. So if you need to be able to get in touch with me on, hey, I want to, especially like the larger like scaling teams, that's where I can really come in and build custom plans for you. So feel free to get in touch with me direct. I'm always happy to help. So
nice. Matt, thank you so much, man. I know we only got you for a little bit of time here. You have to jump on your next call. But guys, thank you for listening. Dealmachine.com/easyrei. Go download it now. Make sure you get your free 7 days. And we build our mega portfolio off of driving for dollars and doing everything that we talked about here today. So it's very simple stuff. We laid it out for you. You can do it, Matt.